Hey podcast listener, you are tuned in to the Quantified Web Podcast, the show where we talk everything web data, metrics and analytics and how you can improve your website through a data-driven approach. If you want to know more about this podcast, all the things we talk about, head over to quantifiedweb.com. Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of the Quantified Web Podcast. I'm Julian.
And I'm Jake.
And today we want to talk about SaaSalytics and how a SaaS business can make analytics work and their advantage. But first of all, I want to talk about our new podcast. I'm super excited to start this podcast with Jake.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. I've been meaning to start a podcast, and I think this will be a good matchup for us to talk about. We both have a lot of analytics experience, but definitely in different kind of realms. So this will be cool to see our back and forth. So a little intro about me. I am living in San Francisco. I'm working for a company called Segment.io. What they do is they're an analytics wrapper. So they wrap up all your analytics tags into one tag on your site, so you don't have to manage all those different things. Kind of like they're kind of a competitor of a tag manager, but they do quite a bit more than a general tag manager. And I also blog at dirtyanalytics.com. I help a few people out on the side, but for the most part, I focus on my job at Segment.io. How about you, Julian?
Well, I'm coming to you from my place in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. I moved here about a year ago and been living here ever since. I left the startup scene in Berlin a year back, and now I'm here in Vietnam and trying to build my business from here. And I started out last year to actually focus on analytics because I saw that a lot of potential is there. Going away from my background was mostly online marketing, and focusing on the side, on the numbers that you can track in order to make everything better, right? So you can do with analytics everything from traffic optimization to site optimization to business optimization, basically. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast. And yeah, I looked for a co-host and through mutual community, we're in a community, right, in the DC, I found Jake, and I'm really excited to start this thing. I guess what this podcast is all about is help you incorporate a data-driven approach to your website building, to improve your website, basically. And I hope we can give people good insights on that, especially because there's nothing out there really that talks about a data-driven approach to online marketing, to building a business.
Right, and I think the big thing that we can focus on too is growth and helping people grow and making sure their analytics grow with them, which that's kind of what we're going to dig into today for SaaS. But I think that's a key part of this is there's a lot of people who pick and choose a few things to talk about analytics, but I think it's important to see the big picture and focus on one thing at a time and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we will produce this podcast weekly, and I hope you can join us every week. We haven't set a date yet, a day when it comes out, but it will be weekly, and you will be able to subscribe via iTunes to get all the juicy information right into your earbuds. And if you like this podcast, please don't hesitate. Go to quantifiedweb.com. You will have more information about us there, but also about the topics that we talk about. All right, let's take a deep dive into data today with SaaSalytics. Jake, you have written a great blog post a couple of weeks ago about the life cycle of SaaS analytics. So when I was reading it, it was really, really interesting in terms of how SaaS business go about also go about validating the idea and finding out what is important to drive their business. Because from my perspective, of course, SaaS businesses are much more much more product driven. They want to improve their product in order to make it better for the user. And you give some great tips of how they can get started on this. So take us through the 3 stages of the life cycle.
Sure, yeah. So I guess I'll start with like why I wrote this article. So basically I wrote this because I kept seeing people like skipping ahead in their like analytics data collection stuff because they want to get to the fun part. They want to get to like A/B testing, optimization, and all that stuff, and like event tracking and getting all those, getting all the data in there and like sifting through the data. But I mean, to be honest, most people don't have enough data to do any optimization, to make Mixpanel or any other tool interesting or anything like that. So I really wanted to put an emphasis on the first stage of SaaS analytics, basically, which is insight. Insight is like where you're talking to your customers, you're doing things that don't scale, basically. Face-to-face communication, Skype calls, this kind of stuff. And there's also some great tools there. Maybe we'll talk about that after I go over the overview, I guess. But then the second stage would be the trends stage. And that's basically once your business starts growing and you have enough data that you can start looking at it kind of as a whole inside of Google Analytics or Mixpanel or whatever tools you want to use. But usually at this stage, I think people still don't really have enough, visitors in order to do A/B testing or any of that kind of optimization stuff. So I threw in the last stage, which is the optimization stage. And that's where people can get into like heavy segmentation, A/B testing, and that kind of stuff, because you really need a lot of traffic, a lot of customers, a lot of data, basically, to make those types of things work.
Right. So I really understand this life cycle, and I think the insight stage is the first stage really great, because people are actually skipping ahead, especially if they go in a in a product driven business. If they're in a technology business, they're always like, okay, I want to make everything work from an automatics perspective. So can I install an analytics tool and get insights out of it? And no, it comes down to talking to your customers and really hitting the phone or calling them up and asking them what you can improve on your business, and that will give you a great feeling also for the user.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think people get into this groove where they want to use all these cool tools that are out there, but I think there's still some cool tools available for this stage. I mean, obviously email isn't that exciting, but there's a tool called Intercom, which allows you to, it's kind of like a customer support tool, but it also allows you to see what people are doing inside of your app. So you can kind of watch what they're doing and be able to reach out to them on a more personal level a lot easier. And then live chat is sort of like that too. So, those things that allow you to have fun with a tool, but also be able to talk to customers is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So just from my personal experience, I worked in e-commerce a lot, and at the beginning when we were just 2 people in an office, I basically answered the customer service hotline to get a feeling for the user and know what is working and what not. Because if you're highly processualized and have certain departments, then it's hard to get these informations, and you get a really good feeling, especially at the beginning where you have more impact on still driving the product forward.
Right, exactly. And I think another big thing people don't realize is, even if you look at the Google Analytics and you see like 30 people coming from this source and 20 people coming from this source, I mean, there's not enough to be, statistically relevant. So you're still kind of guessing. So you might as well be guessing and talking to people and getting, more qualitative feedback.
Yeah, great stuff. So let's go to the trend stage. On the trend stage, you written down some metrics that are quite interesting. I guess it always depends on the business you're in, but I think these are pretty much the metrics that everybody should be looking at from a SaaS perspective.
Yeah, I mean, there's more you can dig into for each of these metrics, but I mean, these are the key, I guess, especially for like recurring revenue model stuff, kind of the key metrics to look at. And you can always split these out later in the third stage by like segmentation and stuff. But it's just good to know like your basic number so you know where you're headed or where you could possibly head if you did start scaling the business.
Okay, so we got here the acquisition rate, which is the percentage of your total user base. As a percentage of your total user base, so new users divided by total active users. Then the churn rate. I wasn't really familiar with the churn rate before I started working with reoccurring businesses before. So the churn, you would divide the churned users by the churned users by the total active users, right?
Yeah, I think that's the best way usually. And obviously all of these have to have some kind of time period. So usually it's like monthly. Usually it's probably based on your billing period. So if it's monthly or whatever, usually it's monthly.
Right. And there's the lifetime value. With the lifetime value, you always have some assumptions inside of your metrics. There are different kinds how you can calculate it. But it's very important too, from a lifetime value perspective, to know once you put on the online marketing to know how much you can actually spend on a user.
Yeah, it's really important. And I think this is a pretty basic calculation of lifetime revenue. And this is not going to, it's not ideal because ideally you would, use churn to help calculate the lifetime value and project it out into the future rather than this will only tell you obviously what already happened. So, but I think, for tools, Kissmetrics does a great job of their revenue report helps you, they calculate in the churn and everything for you and kind of project out the lifetime revenue that you might expect.
Cool. And you have a couple more here, but let's talk about the tools that you use at this stage. So you got like Google Analytics, Kissmetrics, Mixpanel. What can people actually spend at this stage? Do you recommend, once they're maybe venture funded, to set it up right the first time?
Yeah, I think the most common one I see at least is Mixpanel here because, actually the most common would be Google Analytics, but the most common like paid tool would be Mixpanel because they do have a pretty sizable free plan. So you can start tracking your basic events. I would keep it to like 5 events to start with. So you're not wasting time on, setting all that stuff up or getting bogged down in the data. But they do have a free plan that, you won't be paying until you have enough visitors and customers for it to be worth your money. And then the other tools there, I think Kissmetrics is great, like I said, but you have to pay right away, and it's a pretty decent setup. So, that's usually I recommend Kissmetrics for people who are doing advertising or a lot of social media stuff or content marketing because it does a great job of like source of user and all that kind of stuff and tying that down to revenue.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to the last stage, the optimization stage. I guess that's the stage where the juicy stuff begins. You have a business model that works, you have a tool that works, and now you want to beef everything up, get customers, and scale your business.
Yeah, I think this is the stage that you're best at. I know you do a lot of conversion optimization stuff.
Yeah, and I actually just, from my perspective, I try to get clients in that stage that already know, okay, I have a viable business model. I need to spend money also on analytics because it's an important thing.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm kind of the opposite. I usually work with people probably in the middle stage. A lot of people contact me who are in the first stage, and that's kind of why I wrote this post, is to help people understand, don't waste your money on analytics unless you're going to start pouring advertising money or something like that. If you don't have the traffic for analytics to be profitable, then just don't even think about it in the beginning. Just set up Google Analytics or something.
Right. So in the optimization stage, you would go in and do all the A/B testing, segment or get real insights from your user base and try to optimize everything that you basically put money into, your online marketing channels, but also your website.
Yeah, so A/B testing is important. I think something cool here is, a big word here is segmentation, because before this stage, usually you don't have enough users to segment. But here you can start doing some segmentation, start segmenting your communication through something like Infusionsoft or Pardot or HubSpot. And then also, dig deeper into the customer segments if you're using Mixpanel or Kissmetrics too.
Yeah, interesting case here with the three stages. I think most of the customers have never seen it in these stages. I think you can also even port it to other industries, to e-commerce or e-commerce is spending money on online marketing pretty early, but in order to get their metrics right, they should go to a starting phase, an insights phase, and a trends phase too, in order to get to the optimization stage.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen plenty of very successful businesses who never make it to optimization. There's plenty of businesses who never make it to trends because if you have a high value customer, then no matter how big you get, you're still going to have to just talk to customers, see what they need, and fulfill their needs. So not everyone gets to every stage either.
Okay, let's move on to our next section, the T3, tips, tricks, and tools of the week. What do you have for us today, Jake?
So today I wanted to show a tool. It's not really a new tool, but I think it's still pretty unknown, which is called Heap Analytics. And basically what it does is all they give you is a JavaScript tag for your site. You throw in the JavaScript, just like Google Analytics, and it automatically collects all of the actions on your site. So form submissions, clicks, the navigation, obviously, stuff like that, page views, all that stuff you would expect. The cool thing about this is it would be helpful in kind of our topic today, where someone in the first stage of SaaS Analytics could just throw it on their site and they'd know that everything was being collected. So in a few months, if they start to scale, they'll already have all that data filled in.
Where can you find that tool?
I think it's just heapanalytics.com. We can link it up too.
Okay, yeah, we'll link it up on the show notes. So my tip of the week would be PattyTrack. I don't know if you have ever heard of PattyTrack. It's a tool for Google Analytics funnels. So it's free right now. You can hook it up to your Google Analytics account and basically really easily set up funnels. And I don't know if you have ever went into Google Analytics and tried to set up funnels. It's a complicated thing, especially because you can't use regular expressions. You can only use regular expressions on a whole basis, but not for the certain steps of your way. So if you want to target one of the steps, it's pretty complicated. And with PattyTrack, if you have complex funnels, you can just go in and do the search result, and it's and put it in, and it's free. So just hook it up and do your analysis, I guess.
Yeah, I really like that tool. I've used it before, but I noticed a few things that didn't always match up. Like, I can't remember what it was exactly, but have you seen any inconsistencies with the numbers in the funnel?
Not really inconsistencies. I get it pulls the data directly from Google Analytics, right. And in the end, you have a snapshot of everything. So if you have enough data, I would take this as a tool of looking at your funnel. Doing detailed analysis of it is another case, right? Do you really, if you want to really track your funnel in a way of a funnel visualization, then is this the right tool, and can you get the metrics of that? And I would use, of course, different tools to actually see where people are dropping off or not.
Cool. Yeah, I really like that tool. It's been helpful for me in the past too.
Cool. That about wraps it up for this week's episode. Remember, you can find the show notes on quantifiedweb.com, episode 1. And I'm Julian.
And I'm Jake.
Till next time. Wow, You've stuck around till the end of this episode. That's so cool. Thanks. But now, let us put some data to work. Please head over to iTunes and leave us a review so we can work the analytics in our favor. Thanks.